welcome to my channel if you're new. And if you're not, welcome back. Alright, so you guys clicked on this little video because you guys want to learn how to wheelie. Well, you come to the right channel. So today I'm going to be explaining a little bit to you guys. There's some things that other people don't talking about, or I haven't seen other people talk about in their videos that I have experienced, or you know, some of the information I've kind of gathered over the time. Jesus Christ, dude. Guy's flying. People be flying and have nowhere to go. Number one, throttle control is very important. So before you go and wheelie a bike, or let's say you saw some YouTuber hitting 12 o'clocks on their R1, and you're like, oh, I could do that. You go and buy a fucking R1 or a brand new S1000, and you're gonna think it's easy shit, right? No, it's not. So before you even try to wheelie, make sure you have an understanding of your bike. Make sure, and what I mean by that is make sure you understand how your bike is going to react when you give it a certain amount of throttle, okay? And honestly, it's not going to be the same, right? The throttle response is not going to be the same when you're kind of, you know, at like 10 o'clock versus your bike being flat. Because when you're up here, your bike, depending on what bike you have, it's just going to take that little bit of throttle for you to loop your bike. So you have to be very careful. I would recommend starting on a dirt bike, like maybe like a 254 stroke, or I don't know about a 450. Nah, that's just too much power, but you know, it's up to you. It's your life. But I would suggest a 250 or a 400. I learned on a DRZ 400, the supermoto model. If you guys go to my old videos, you guys see all the videos there. That's what I learned on. Because if you jump on a big bike like this, you're gonna have to worry about the weight. It's gonna be swinging you everywhere. You don't really have much control because of the weight, and also because of all the power. And you know, that's just not a very good, you know, mixture. You're gonna want to start on a lighter bike. I don't suggest a two-stroke. I mean, you can learn on a two-stroke, but that's gonna be more on the advanced side, because two-strokes, they don't have a lot of engine braking. They have, I think, no engine braking actually. So once you get into that 10 o'clock or near 12, you're not, and let's say you let go of the throttle, right? It's not going to come down on its own. It's just going to go back, right? If you're not on that rear brake, that thing's just going to loop, okay? You're going to want to have to be on that rear brake. If not, you're going to loop. It's a two-stroke. They have no engine braking. Even on the Honda CRF 150, those are small, they're light, they have all the power you're going to need, right? Basically, start on something smaller, not something big. And if you're already on something big, if you can't get something small, and if you can't, well then I'll try to help you out with that right now. So obviously, before you start wheeling, right, you're gonna want to cover the rear brake. It's very important. You know, hit the brakes a few times, make sure it works, make sure your rear can lock up. But obviously do it slow, because you know, you're not gonna want to lock up your rear going 60 miles an hour. Yeah, make sure your rear brake works, right? Get familiar with it. You know, hit it a few times. But what you guys are gonna want to watch out with the rear brake is called brake fade, okay? Brake fade is when you use too much of your rear brake, and your brake lines, they overheat, they start boiling, and when you hit the rear brake, there's nothing there. So if you're about to loop and you hit the rear brake and they're, you know, too hot, then you're just gonna loop your bike, all right? So when you're practicing, take some breaks, all right? Don't just go back and forth. Also, don't want to burn your clutch out too. So take some breaks, find a nice location where there's no cars, or maybe like an empty parking lot if you're on a smaller bike, right? Just find somewhere where there's no one around. We're going further, attempt this at your own risk, okay? I'm not responsible for any of you guys, okay? Best gear to wheelie those bikes in my opinion, is second gear. It's honestly the smoothest. Maybe slow down a little bit. Second gear, right? Pop the clutch in, you rev it up, and you dump the clutch, all right? So if you guys don't really understand the whole idea of popping the clutch, it's just imagine you being stationary on your bike with your clutch pulled in, right? You're not moving, and then let's say you rev limit your bike, right? You dump the clutch. What do you think's gonna happen? Your bike's gonna go flying up, right? Because you dumped the clutch and it has all that load on the engine, right? That's pretty much what dumping the clutch is. Let me stop, because I'm literally just going back and forth. Just cruise, second gear, pop the clutch, right? Once you pop the clutch, ease into the throttle, okay? Don't give it too much, don't give it too little. Just kind of get used to the bike coming up on you, okay? And another thing, if you're on like a sport bike, let's say like a 600 or a 636, These bikes don't have a lot of low end, but they do have a lot of high end. Let's say you do a wheelie, right, and your bike is down here, right? Let's say the bike feels lazy. If it feels lazy, don't fully pin it, because once the bike starts to pick up again and it hits that, you know, power band, because it's going to get in the higher RPMs, it's just going to launch on you like a rocket, and you're most likely to loop your bike, because that might be it might come up faster than your reaction time. Wheeling, it's mainly about throttle control. Throttle control is number one. Foot brake, don't mind the holy gloves. Yeah, they've been through. I haven't fallen or anything, it's just, I don't know, the weather's just been alright, anyways. Throttle control, brake control, those are the two important things. Honestly, you just have to get familiar with your bike. Obviously, I can't go over every single bike. And another thing with these newer bikes, like let's say you're on a 1000, or I think even the new 636 as well, if your bike has ABS, make sure you get rid of it. What I did for the R1, I just pulled the fuse, so I don't have ABS on this bike. I could if I just put the fuse back in. It's really simple. Let me explain to you guys why ABS is bad. What is ABS's primary objective? It's going to be to keep your rear wheel or front wheel from locking up, right? Let's say you're in a wheelie. You hit 12, you feel yourself about to loop the bike. Excuse me. Jesus. You feel yourself about to loop the bike, right? So what do? You're gonna hit your rear brake really hard, you know, keep yourself from looping, or save yourself from looping. So that's when ABS kicks in and it decreases your braking pressure. And when you decrease your braking pressure, you're not gonna have enough stopping power to keep yourself from looping your bike. And you know, so that's why ABS is bad. That's why I got rid of it. It's just not good for wheelies. Not only ABS, I remember I was doing a wheelie. I hit balance point, so about 12 o'clock. I had all my electronics on. I didn't have ABS, but I had my traction slide control on, right? So I don't know which one it was, but one of those freaked out. And I guess it either thought that, I guess slide control thought that I was gonna slide the bike and it cut power, you know? So I slammed down and almost mousetrapped. I almost went over my handlebars. I actually smacked my camera on the freaking windscreen. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, make sure you disable traction control, slide control, also lift control, anything you can that you think is going to interrupt the wheelie. So yeah, whenever I wheelie this bike, I have to disable everything. Whether it's traction control, slide control, ABS, lift control, everything. So I pretty much have a raw machine, right? No aids. So I'm gonna demonstrate now with the wheelies. All right, I kind of angled my camera down a little bit. I hope that's enough. Yeah, it should be enough. If you're on a lower bike, you might have to rev it up more than, you know, obviously a higher CC bike. It all depends on what bike you have and how many CCs. So yeah, you kind of just have to figure that out for yourself. Clutch in, rev it up, dump the clutch, right? It's okay if you chase it, if you're learning, right? Try to get it up to about right here. So the more you practice, the more you're gonna get comfortable with the bike, right? You're gonna get more comfortable bringing it up higher and higher and higher. So me, I've been wheeling for about, well, since 2019. I learned on my DRZ. From there, I had a buddy of mine. He let me wheelie his 636. Very ballsy of him. It wasn't really all that much different. The only difference was the trim. Obviously, with the sport bike, you're leaned over. With the supermoto, dirt bike, you're positioned up. Practice that little motion more and more. Don't rush yourself. It's not a race. Everyone has their limits, okay? Everyone learns at their own pace. There is the possibility that you might loop your bike. A lot of people, when they get up to balance point and they are about to loop, they freak out and they completely forget about the rear brake, okay? So that's why when you're wheeling, you don't want to blip the throttle too hard, because that little bit of blip can really mess you up, if you know what I mean. So when you're wheeling, just make sure you're smooth on the throttle, right? You got to be very smooth. It's very important. So right here, if I were to blip it too hard, I would loop this bike. People loop their bike because they forget about the rear brake. it goes up higher than the reaction time, so they don't have enough time to react because they blip it too hard. Once you get better, you can start trying other tricks. I'm smooth with it. Smooth. You might start to chase your wheelies when you're starting, and that's okay. But that's why I say practice somewhere, you know, quiet, you know, open, empty, so you don't smash into somebody, right? Last thing you want to do is wheelie on the street, chase to the wheelie. You can't see in front of you, smash into a car. Remember, the lower the front wheel, the faster you're gonna go. The higher the front wheel, the slower you're gonna go. The higher you'll be able to get with your bike, and the more you'll be able to slow it down, so you can kind of use that to your advantage. Let's say hypothetically you're doing a wheelie in a straight, a car pulls out in front of you, right? You're going kind of fast, not too fast, but you know you're gonna hit the car if you don't slow down. You drop it back, you slow yourself down, you stay in the wheelie. Number one, most importantly, you don't smash into the car. Number two, it looks cool as hell. Alright guys, I think that's everything, honestly. Like I said, if I did forget anything and I remember later on, you know, there's nothing I could do, but just wait until sometime in the future, and after that, then I'll probably make like an updated version, explaining more things. I don't really think there's much else. I could go into more in depth, but my GoPro, it is about to die. And I don't want to get stuck explaining all these things, and by the time I'm halfway done, it just dies on me, right? So yeah, it's gonna suck. But yeah guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful night. Peace.